The 2026 FIFA World Cup is less than 3 weeks away. 48 teams, 16 host cities, 3 countries, 104 matches. It's being called the biggest sporting event in human history, and by every measure of scale, that title is hard to argue with. FIFA president Gianni Infantino has compared the tournament's commercial footprint to hosting 104 Super Bowls simultaneously. More than 500 million ticket requests have been logged. The global television audience is expected to reach into the billions. And yet, heading into June 11, something interesting is happening around the build-up to this tournament. Questions are being raised by fans, by players, by public health experts, by supporter groups about several issues that FIFA is now actively working to address. Some of these concerns are practical, some of them affect the football directly, and some of them go to the heart of what a World Cup is supposed to feel like for the people who love the game most. So today, we're breaking all of it down. The heat concerns on the pitch, the ticket debate in the stands, the travel complications for international fans, the reactions from across the football world, and what FIFA is doing about all of it. Because this story isn't just about whether the tournament runs smoothly, it's about whether the biggest World Cup ever actually delivers for the fans and players it was built around. Let's get into it. Let's start with something that has been building since last summer and now landed right at FIFA's door: heat. The 2025 FIFA Club World Cup, held in the United States earlier this year, gave the football world a real preview of what summer conditions in North American stadiums actually feel like. And the picture wasn't entirely comfortable. Several matches at that tournament reported temperatures between 90 and 102 degrees Fahrenheit. There were 6 weather-related delays across the first 50 matches alone. Chelsea's head coach Enzo Maresca, after his team's match in Charlotte was delayed 2 hours by lightning and took nearly 5 hours to complete, said directly that the United States might not be the right place to host this competition. His players echoed that frustration. Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez told reporters that playing in those temperatures was very dangerous and that he had felt dizzy during one game and needed to lie down. Benfica's Andreas Sheldrip said he had never played in such heat and admitted he didn't think it was healthy. Those weren't casual complaints. Those were elite professional footballers at peak fitness describing genuine physical distress during competition. Now, scale that experience up to a 48-team World Cup running from June 11 to July 19 across 16 host cities. Research from Brunel University of London and Queen's University Belfast, analyzing 20 years of weather data, found that 14 of the 16 host stadiums could exceed the critical heat stress threshold of 28 degrees Celsius on the wet bulb globe temperature scale. That's the level at which FIFPro, the Global Professional Players Union, recommends delaying or postponing matches. Miami, Monterey, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Boston, and New York, all stadiums without air conditioning, were identified as the highest risk venues. Around 5 matches are expected to reach heat stress levels where FIFPro says postponement is advised. Experts described FIFA's current protocols as inadequate for conditions that serious. FIFA has responded. In December 2025, the governing body announced that all 104 matches at the 2026 FIFA World Cup will include mandatory 3-minute hydration breaks in each half, stopping play at the 22-minute mark regardless of temperature or whether the stadium has a roof. Staff and substitute players will have access to climate-controlled benches. Match schedules have built in at least 3 days of rest between games. FIFA has also confirmed dedicated meteorological support across all host cities to support real-time decisions. But here's the interesting part. On May 20th, just days ago, a letter signed by dozens of players and backed by the New Weather Institute was sent directly to FIFA. The letter called for stronger heat protocols across the tournament and demanded that FIFA adopt FIFPro's recommendations, including postponing games at lower heat thresholds and extending cooling breaks to at least 6 minutes rather than 3. Players are now adding their public voices to what scientists and medical experts have been saying for months. 3 minutes, many argue, is simply not enough time to lower a player's core temperature in extreme heat. The football world is watching how FIFA responds to that specific challenge over the coming days. Now, here's where things get equally interesting away from the pitch. Tickets. From the moment FIFA released its initial pricing structure for the 2026 World Cup, the reaction from supporter groups around the world was sharp and immediate. The cheapest resale seats for many group stage matches topped $1,000. The lowest price for the World Cup final in East Rutherford, New Jersey, was set at over $4,000. The highest seat for that same match was listed at $8,680. To put that in context, when the United States last hosted the World Cup in 1994, tickets ranged from $25 to $475. Football Supporters Europe, one of the largest organized fan groups in the world, filed a formal complaint against FIFA with the European Commission alongside consumer group Euroconsumers. They accused FIFA of abusing its monopoly position over ticket sales to impose conditions on fans that would not be acceptable in a competitive market. They called the pricing a monumental betrayal of the tradition of the World Cup. One fan interviewed by NPR said that the cheapest match for his family to attend the U.S. opening game would cost over $6,700 for nosebleed seats. For many ordinary supporters who have followed their national teams for decades, the numbers simply didn't work. FIFA responded by introducing a new pricing tier. A supporter entry tier ticket was introduced at $60 per match for every game in the tournament, including the final, allocated through national football federations to loyal supporters. FIFA also waived administrative fees for fans securing tickets through their national associations. That $60 option was welcomed, but critics were quick to note the actual scale. Each participating team receives 8% of available tickets per game. Only 10% of that allocation falls in the $60 tier. That works out to roughly 0.8% of stadium capacity per team at that price point. It's a real step, but it reaches a limited number of fans. What's happened in the weeks since is revealing. According to data from Ticket Data, resale prices for more than 90% of World Cup matches have now been falling on platforms like StubHub and SeatGeek. Resale prices dropped roughly 24% over the past month and 8% in the most recent week alone. Even the U.S. opening match in Los Angeles has not sold out, with the cheapest resale tickets still sitting above $1,000. FIFA maintains that approximately 5 million tickets have already been sold and that demand remains extraordinary. Both things can be true at the same time. Demand from a global audience of billions is real, but the pricing structure created a ceiling that genuinely priced out a significant portion of the fans who would most want to be there. That tension is still being worked through, and it will be visible in stadium atmospheres across North America this summer. But that's only part of the story when it comes to fans attending this tournament. The travel picture for international supporters is one of the most complex in World Cup history, and it's producing reactions from across the football world. The United States has strict visa requirements, and applying for a B1, B2 visitor visa as a citizen from outside the visa waiver program requires an in-person consular interview. With millions of fans from around the world trying to travel to the same country within the same narrow window, the demand on appointment systems has been enormous. There was an additional concern for many supporters earlier in the year when reports emerged that some fans from certain countries faced the prospect of paying visa bonds of up to $15,000 simply to apply for entry, on top of tickets, flights, and accommodation. In mid-May, the U.S. confirmed it would waive those visa bond requirements for eligible supporters who had purchased official FIFA tickets and registered through the FIFA Priority Appointment Scheduling System, known as PASS. For many fans, that was a significant and welcome development. It reduced one of the most serious financial barriers facing international supporters trying to attend matches in the United States. But the broader travel picture still carries challenges. Citizens of countries subject to ongoing travel restrictions may still face complications even with confirmed tickets. Processing times for standard visa applications have been lengthy given the volume of requests. And the cost of flights and accommodation across U.S. host cities in the peak of summer has risen sharply. Some fans have made the decision not to travel at all.
Multiple international supporters told NPR and The Athletic they were sitting this tournament out entirely, not because of a lack of love for their teams, but because the combination of ticket costs, travel costs, and logistical uncertainty made the journey feel unreachable. For supporters from nations outside the traditional football powerhouses, countries in Africa, Asia, and parts of Latin America whose qualification stories are extraordinary, the gap between watching on television and being in the stadium has rarely felt wider. FIFA has said the demand is there, the tournament is sold out, and the system is working. Whether ordinary fans from around the world feel the same way is a different conversation, and it's one that supporter groups intend to keep having.
There's another angle to this picture worth discussing because it connects directly to the football itself: public health. The World Cup brings millions of people into shared spaces: stadiums, fan zones, public transport hubs, hotels, and airports across a 6-week period. That kind of concentrated international movement always raises practical health considerations, and experts have been open about what they're monitoring. Infectious disease specialists have noted that the close proximity of tens of thousands of international fans in crowded stadiums can increase the transmission risk of any active infections circulating among traveling populations. Professor Andy Pecos of Hopkins University pointed out that healthcare systems near World Cup venues have been preparing for this reality for some time. Heat-related illness is also a genuine concern for fans in outdoor venues. Experts from the scientific community have noted that conditions above 28 degrees Celsius put not just players at risk, but also fans attending matches, particularly older supporters and those with pre-existing conditions. Heat stroke in those circumstances is not a theoretical risk, it's a documented medical emergency. FIFA has confirmed that it is coordinating with local health authorities across all 16 host cities. The hydration break structure in every match provides a natural pause for players, and improved facilities around stadium perimeters will offer shade and cooling access for fans. Food safety across mass catering operations at venues of this scale is also being monitored by local public health officials. These aren't crisis conditions, they're the kind of careful preparation that a tournament of this scale requires. But the fact that health experts are speaking publicly this close to kickoff is a sign that the conversations are ongoing. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because heading into the final weeks before June 11th, the overall picture of how this tournament is being received is genuinely mixed. On the commercial side, the numbers are remarkable. FIFA is on course to generate around $11 billion in revenue from this tournament, compared to $7 billion from Qatar 2022. Sponsorship deals are global in scale. Broadcaster interest across every region of the world is at record levels. On the football side, the 48-team format means more nations than ever are taking part. New qualifying stories have emerged from every confederation. The expanded group stage gives smaller nations more matches and more chances to make an impact. There's real sporting excitement in that. But the questions being raised by fans, players, scientists, and supporter organizations aren't about the football. They're about whether the World Cup still feels like something that belongs to the people who follow the game at every level, not just those who can afford premium access. Football Supporters Europe described FIFA's ticketing approach as a betrayal of the game's tradition. FIFPro, which represents professional footballers globally, has publicly challenged FIFA's heat protocols as not going far enough. Health experts have put their concerns on record in open letters and published research. International fans are dealing with visa and travel processes that have created real uncertainty even weeks before the opening match. FIFA's response to all of these points has been consistent. The tournament is ready, the measures are in place, demand is extraordinary, and the system is working. That may well prove to be true. Tournaments of this scale regularly face pre-tournament noise that disappears the moment the first ball is kicked. But it's worth remembering that the football world is paying attention. Players are paying attention, and the fans who are going to be in those stadiums or watching at home because they couldn't make the journey are paying attention too. So, what happens next? On heat, the key development to watch is whether FIFA responds to the May 20 player letter calling for stronger protocols. The demand to extend hydration breaks and lower postponement thresholds hasn't been acted on yet. With the tournament 3 weeks away, any significant change to those protocols would need to happen quickly. If it doesn't, the conversation will continue well into the tournament itself,
particularly at matches in Miami, Kansas City, and other high-risk venues. On tickets, the resale market decline is something FIFA and the host cities are watching closely. If stadiums and major matches carry visible empty seats, that image will matter to the global television audience. FIFA's argument that demand is extraordinary rests partly on the tournament looking and feeling like a full house in every city. On fan travel, the next 2 weeks represent the final window for supporters still trying to resolve visa appointments before the opening game. The pass system and the visa bond waiver have improved the situation meaningfully, but processing timelines are tight for anyone still waiting. The best-case scenario for all of these threads is straightforward. Visas come through, fans arrive, temperatures at most matches stay manageable, and once the football starts, the stories on the pitch take over entirely. That outcome is genuinely possible, and if it happens, 2026 could deliver everything it's been promising. The scenario that would prompt louder questions is one where any of these concerns don't resolve cleanly, where heat causes visible distress on the pitch, or where empty sections in sold-out venues tell a different story than the commercial headline numbers. FIFA is navigating a lot of moving parts right now. Most governing bodies hosting events of this scale deal with pre-tournament complications. The question is always how they handle them. So there it is. The 2026 FIFA World Cup arrives in less than 3 weeks, carrying extraordinary momentum and some genuinely significant questions at the same time. Heat protocols are being debated by the players who will be most affected. Ticket access remains a live conversation between FIFA and the supporters who wanted to be in the stands. Fan travel to the United States has become easier in key respects, but is still complicated for many supporters. And public health officials are watching closely as millions of people prepare to move around North America for 6 weeks of football. None of this diminishes what's coming. The football, the moments, the tournaments within the tournament, those are going to be extraordinary. 48 nations, stories from every corner of the planet, and a competition format that gives every team a genuine chance to create something memorable. But the conversation happening right now, before the first kickoff, matters. And the reactions from players, fans, and experts tell us that even the biggest World Cup still has things to prove. So what do you think? Do you believe FIFA has done enough to address the concerns around heat and fan access? And which issue do you think matters most heading into June 11th? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear from you. If you found this useful, hit like and subscribe. We've got full group previews, key match breakdowns, and everything else you need ahead of what could be the most memorable World Cup ever. This story is still developing, and as always, football never stays quiet for long. See you in the next one.